Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. And today is a great day to hear two news stories on this topic, so I hope you sit comfortably, and let's get started. I don't work here anymore, lady. Okay, for some background, I used to work at a retail store with a terrible reputation. That's the setting for many stories on this subreddit. The important detail is that the uniform is black pants with usually a white shirt and a blue vest. Just over a year ago, at the start of the summer break, I asked for more hours over the break because, well, money for rent and things is nice to have. Anyway, after much back and forth with my manager, it was decided I'd only be given between 8 and 20 hours per week over the summer. I asked if it was possible to get more by working in other departments, but the answer was always no. Never given a reason. Managers suck sometimes. As a result, I started looking for another job and ended up getting a job at another retail location who offered 40 hours a week and would work around my school schedule in the fall. I put in my 2 weeks' notice with my old job, stating I was not happy with the hours I was going to get. They wished me well, and I began working at my new job. Now, an important detail is that the uniform for my current work is black pants with a black collared shirt with red accents with the company logo on the front of the shirt. Very different from the uniform at my previous job. An important detail is that these two locations were physically close to one another, and I would shop at my previous job. I often saw old coworkers and even my old manager a few times. There was the old customer who recognized me from my previous job, and they would ask where I'd been lately. This was when I would explain that I left for a different position. Most of the time, they wouldn't mind and would just go on with their own business, so there's no problem. Not this time. So anyway, a few days ago, I'd just gotten off a 9-hour shift and was exhausted, both mentally and physically. I need to pick up a few things, so I decided to grab them before I went home so that I could properly flop on the couch when I got home. I walked into my old job with headphones in, listening to my latest audiobook, wearing the black and red uniform of my current job. I see some familiar faces and wave to them, but don't stop to talk as I'm kind of tired of interacting with people and just want to get my stuff and go home. So I began weaving through the various aisles, gathering the things I need, putting them in my basket. I'm about halfway down the chip aisle, trying to decide which bag to grab when an old woman tried to grab a bag that was above her head that she just couldn't reach. She struggles for a few seconds before I notice, which is when I grab the bag and pass it to her. She thanks me and turns to go about her shopping when she accidentally knocks over one of the jars of salsa dip that they have near the chips. The glass jar drops to the floor and shatters upon impact, spraying glass and salsa everywhere. The lady jumps in surprise, and I flinch as I hear the jar shatter through my audiobook. The lady tried to apologize, but I say it's okay. 2 steps away, there's a wall-mounted phone, and me being a former employee, I knew the code to page over the system. I took out one of my headphones in preparation of what I was about to do. So technically, this was kind of my own fault. I take the 2 steps to the phone, being careful of the broken glass and salsa, and page for the maintenance guy to come clean up the mess. While I'm doing this, the old lady runs off out of the aisle, and another woman turns into the aisle and sees me on the phone making a page. This woman, I kid you not, was a perfect image of the stereotypical Karen, including the hair, glasses, and high heels. She looked frustrated and was storming towards me as I hung up the phone. K is Karen, OM is old manager, and me is myself. At first, I didn't properly hear what the lady said as I still had my audiobook playing in one ear, but I imagine it was something like, "Finally, someone to help me." Once I realized she was trying to talk to me, I took my other headphone out of my ear. Me. Hi? Slightly confused as to why she was talking to me. K. Excuse me, you should listen when a customer speaks to you. Me. What? K. And you shouldn't have headphones in while you're working. It's poor manners. It's at this point she reaches out and tries to grab at my headphones hanging from my neck. Me. What the F are you doing? I said as I stepped back away from her and out of her reach. K. How dare you speak to a customer that way? Me. What are you talking about? K. You just made a page. I recognize you. You work here. She begins to get more and more upset. Me. I don't work here anymore, lady. K. Yes, you do. I saw you working here the other week, pushing carts in. Me. I quit this place a year ago. There's no way you saw me pushing in carts, Karen. Yes, I called her that. Again, long day and I'm done with people. Okay. My name is not Karen, and you do work here. Now, where's your manager? I'm going to get you fired for this. Me. Good luck with that. As I said, I quit and got a different job. I then pointed to the logo of my current job on my shirt. Okay. Don't you lie to me. I'm a customer. You still work here, and you have to help me. As luck would have it, my old manager walks around the corner into the aisle to see what all the commotion's about. Okay. Finally, a manager. I'm going to get you fired. OM. Hi there. May I ask what's going on here? OP, did you make that page? Me. Yes, Then I got cut off. Your employee didn't listen to me and swore at me. I want you to fire him right this second. OM. OP, is this true? My old manager asks, looking to me, but Karen continued before I could say anything. He shouldn't have headphones in when he's working. He should listen to the customers. Miss, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down, which never works. Calm down? Calm down? I will not calm down. You need to fire him now. Miss, please calm down or I'll have to get security. Well, this shut her up real quick. Now, OP, what happened? I then explain what happened to my old manager as the maintenance guy shows up to clean up the mess, but ends up joining the small crowd that is gathered to watch the show. OM. Okay then. OP, thank you for calling in the spill, but Karen then interrupts. What are you doing? You need to fire him. She gets cut off as my old manager raises his hand to silence her. Miss, I am going to have to ask you to leave now. What? You can't do that. Yes, I can. Now leave before I call security. Karen then huffs, spins on her heels, and starts walking towards the exit. As she walks, she ends up slipping on the salsa on the floor and falls down. Before my old manager or anyone could offer to help her, she scrambled to her feet and ran off out of the store. OM. As I was saying, OP, thank you for calling in the spill, but next time, find someone who still works here so they can page me. Sure thing. Sorry about all this. OM. It's all right. It happens. Just don't let it happen again. I then proceed to chat with my old manager about how my current job is going as the maintenance guy cleans up the mess. I then paid for my things and left. To address some of the comments, this happened in Canada. The maintenance guy had started cleaning up the salsa spill when the old lady slipped and had apparently tried to stop her from walking over it but failed. He had his spill signs up and everything. Sorry about not mentioning that. And yes, I did have the uniform shirt on, but no name tag or anything to identify me. As far as I know, she hasn't come knocking at my current job. And our second story. Apparently, someone owns my business, and I didn't know it. So I run a little business from the local farmer's market. I'm an artisan and specialize in toys made of yarn. Now, I'll first say that after 5 years of doing this, I've learned one fact. Most people assume that yarn-related hobbies are dying hobbies, that young folks don't do them, which is bullcrap. They're huge. Were before the pandemic and seem to be even bigger now, so I get a lot of older folks who are shocked that I know what I'm doing. When the stuff I do is rather easy to learn and pick up, it's hardly advanced stuff. In fact, I teach beginner classes on the side. Anyway, so on one kinda quiet day, I'm vending. Now, when it's quiet like this, I'm usually busy making new product and also listening to an audiobook with one earbud in my ear. When someone approaches, I pause and discreetly take out the earbud and put it down. No big deal. It's my job and I take it seriously. Just need to do something while I work. My hobby's often done watching TV. So I do this, and an older woman, maybe in her mid-40s, approaches, notices me pause, and take out my earbud. Most people don't see as they're looking at the product, but she's been staring at me. I smile at her and greet her. She ignores me at first, then looks down at the product. She picks them up, studies them, nods her head, and says, "Catherine's work always impresses me." I have no idea who Catherine is. There's also a huge sign behind me with my business name and my name in full. I stare for a moment, wondering if she saw someone nearby named Catherine, but I know all the other vendors. No one named Catherine. So I asked who is Catherine. She looks at me like I'm an idiot and says, "Your boss." I tell her I don't have a boss, I'm the owner. I explain that I made all this product myself and have no employees. She shakes her head and tells me that, no, I didn't make any of this product. I need to stop lying. I motion to the half-done product in front of me that I've been working on all morning. She scoffs and says, "That clearly is garbage in comparison to Catherine's work." She says that she's going to contact Catherine and tell her that her employee is claiming her work, tells me I'm a terrible person, and leaves. I'm so confused. I tell my table neighbor a bit later as we joke about rude customers we have all the time. She calls them war stories, and I tell her what happened. Well, it turns out she knows who Catherine is. She did another yarn-related hobby and sold her work over 20 years ago and retired 10 years ago. So Catherine did vend at my market, but she did a very different hobby related to yarn. Think like if I made welded statues with scrap metal, and she made jewelry from bending and curling metal. Made of the same materials, but very different in terms of style and function and techniques to actually make the product. So Catherine, if by some miracle you do read this, hi. Sorry you may have gotten one confusing message from some woman who thought I was pretending to be you. Your work sounds lovely from what my table neighbor told me. Sounds like you have an interesting business. And thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.